I make most of the time video performance or performance for video, installation and some kind of sculptural elements and sometimes some photographs. So that's what I do. My father used to own a wrecking yard. I just use stuff that was already there. That's another thing. I like using objects that have already had a life and trying to give them a new life and repurpose them, like so they're like some kind of new ready-made or something. For a long time I haven't had a lot of money. You know, a lot of artists have this just to make the work, but because I have to make art all the time, you find a way to make it. And so it is kind of very, sometimes a bit hokey and very handmade, but that's just the way I try to be really kind of neat, but that's my aesthetic, I suppose. The still work that I used to make was always quite blurry, so there was a sense of movement anyway. So the minute I finally got to use a video camera, it was just great. There was that movement, and so these two elements, because it used to be kind of a humanistic thing, and these kind of portraits I used to do, and this kind of blurry, it all just came together. I actually feel like I treat the computer like the way I would treat like a collage, like a physical collage. I feel like it's collaging digitally, like I do as if I was also cutting up my photographs or making a costume. Then when I can start cutting, and then that's where I get more of a rhythm in with the editing and the sound, and I use the ambient sound which is recorded on the day, make a soundtrack from that. Sometimes I lay down something else that I might have. I buy sometimes that music and then I slow it down and reverse it. I mean, these works are just single channels in a way, like they're singular entities, but a lot of the time I do like to break the video up. It's like the way I think we actually view images today. They're omnipotent, they're everywhere, and we have to view all these things at one time. So it's about that same time and space all cut up and being thrown back at you. One or two of my last shows have been quite maximalist and they're really over the top, and I just wanted to kind of bring my practice in and distill it, and also really just wanted to bring it down to just a very kind of distilled performance. In that work I actually have the mirror that you see within the installation space attached to me, and my body is a costume, so the mirror sits up here behind me. I actually really wanted to have another person performing with me, but I couldn't, you know the way it is, so it's just yourself there. So this costume becomes another person, it becomes the chip on your shoulder, it's the ghost, it's your ego, it's all those things. And so I just had this idea that I just wanted to flick it away, but then sometimes I'd be like drawn to it. So there was this love-hate relations between the self and the image and what's reflected. I like the fact that the audience can also, they activate the work in a way. I always keep saying the reason why I don't have it scripted is because I run out of time, because I'm always making the costumes and the sets. But there's a part of me that really wants to just get to that, build and build and build this energy, and then the camera turns on and it's kind of like, I just want to go somewhere, and I just want to, it's about testing some boundary too, like going somewhere that I maybe, once I go into that zone, that I probably wouldn't if I really knew what I wanted to do. And repetition's good for that improv, because I find sometimes if I start to repeat and then get a rhythm on, that's when I can kind of rocking or moving, and then from there that'll move on to something else. Time somehow for me then evaporates, and it can be an hour and a half, and you're just like, oh, and it's not until the costumes, because I make costumes out of plastic or cardboard or sticky tape, it's not until the costume's broken that sometimes that forces me to stop. So I quite like that. The art history, I suppose, has just started to really come into its own, just because I did start to teach at art school, and you're always referencing other artists and looking back at history. I also feel like everything's kind of been made, right, in art in some way, but also at any moment you can make it new. Every artist can make something new because they make it from themselves, and it can be made in a different way, a different time, different context. It's all there for me. I just kind of feel like it's all out there, and I keep bringing it in, and sometimes it goes in a blender and it comes out the other end. I mean, it's a roller coaster, but I actually enjoy the whole thing. That's the reason why I keep doing it. I'm slightly addicted to that process. Yeah.